Super Earth, our home. Freedom, liberty, prosperity, democracy. Billions of content citizens on countless planets across the galaxy, all standing steadfast under the yellow, white, and blue banner of the United Galactic Federation of Super Earth. But as you know, freedom doesn't always come free. Hey everyone, I'm Eclipsify, and today I'm going to take you all through the entire history of Super Earth, starting with the formation of the Federation, the creation of the Helldiver Corp, and taking you through the histories of both the First and Second Galactic War. Strap into your Hellpods, viewers, and get ready to dive straight into hell with the entire history of the Helldivers universe. Our world is ravaged by World War III, also known as the Last Great War. Nuclear bombs have been dropped on Russia and other northern countries. Over 60% of their civilian population has been decimated. People cower in fear of death from atomic weapons. Governments have been overthrown in dozens of countries. Riots, assassinations, fear. But from the ashes of war, the last governmental figures rose up, unifying not as one country, but as a planet, as a species. A governing body made by the people, for the people. In 2044, the Federation of Super Earth, with a revolutionary system of managed democracy, became the one true superpower on the planet now dubbed as Super Earth. Patriotism and nationalism are the keystones of Super Earth society, where the people will stop at nothing to appease their country's ideals. Super Earth's leaders then set up several ministries to manage each sector of society. The Ministry of Defense for military power, the Ministry of Truth to determine what information is considered democratic, the Ministry of Science for the development of technology, the Ministry of Prosperity to manage Super Earth's economy with their newly built currency of super credits, the Ministry of Humanity to manage citizen genes, health, and social grading, the Ministry of Expansion to control development and colonization of new planets throughout the galaxy, and the Ministry of Unity to ensure humanity is unified at all times, on all planets. With the ministries established and humanity once more united as a species, a way to expand past our pale blue planet became top priority. Top researchers at the Ministry of Science developed the Alcubierre warp drive, a device capable of sending ships into FTL speeds across light years of space. Super Earth's dominion expanded across the galaxy, making their claim on thousands of planets. Humanity boomed technologically, with astounding leaps in weaponry and spaceflight made in mere decades. But the peace wouldn't last long. An expedition into the Kepler Prime system led to the discovery of a new species, arachnid-like creatures nesting in their primordial homeworld, the Terminids. Research of the Terminid genome quickly discovered the fact that the blood of these creatures contains a valuable fossil fuel, element E710, the oil that powers all of Super Earth's space travel with the Alcubierre warp drive. This discovery was massive for Super Earth. The Ministry of Science quickly developed farms across Terminid-inhabited sectors to harvest the vital fuel needed for intergalactic space travel. But these bugs weren't content to let Super Earth painlessly extract their vital fluids. Massive outbreaks of Terminid creatures exploded across dozens of planets, attacking innocent Super Earth civilian colonies without any provocation. A national emergency was declared, and military efforts were deployed to attempt to cull the growth of the foul creatures on the quarantined planets. The Terminids were the most disgusting of Super Earth's foes, able to reproduce quickly and traveling from planet to planet using meteors made it impossible to completely exterminate them. The lowliest of the bugs were their scouts, vanguards, and camouflaging shadows. The invisible stalkers, warriors, and elite made for more formidable enemies, not able to be killed by the standard firepower of SEAF troops. Their heavy units, the Impaler, tanks, and behemoths, were all covered in thick anti-explosive armor, making them extremely hard to kill. The highest of their ranks was the Brood Commander, able to use pheromones to control smaller Terminids. But by far the worst and the most beastly of them all were the Titanic Hive Lords. Ginormous creatures hundreds of feet tall. The presence of a Hive Lord on a planet caused earthquakes and ecological decay due to the strength of the Lord's acidic spores it emitted. Meanwhile, on the other side of the galaxy, discontent among some of Super Earth's newer citizens began to grow. With technology on the rise, it was only a matter of time before some humans began to transform themselves into machines, believing cybernetic enhancements to be superior to mere flesh and bone. These people called themselves the cyborgs, living in strained harmony alongside normal humans for several years. But it didn't take long for the unrest among these mechanical abominations to boil over into rage. The cyborgs rebranded themselves as the Cyborg Nation, claiming prosecution and mistreatment by Super Earth officials over the year. This, of course, is a dissident lie propagated by cyborg commanders to instill unrest among Super Earth citizens. Then, in 2065, the Cyborg Nation declared themselves a rogue state, officially seceding from the Federation. They took up refuge in the Valdis sector, making their home upon a mining planet they christened as Cyberstan. The cyborgs created a socialist, anti-democratic government, made solely to oppose the beliefs and structures of Super Earth. Their mechanized troops ranged from the weakest being half-human soldiers wielding grenade launchers, shield-bearing legionnaires, and the brainwashed human initiates. The higher-class soldiers were flamethrower-wielding immolators, grotesque, insane hunters called berserkers and butchers, the fully robotic dog-like hounds, powerful comrades, and the mobs of human flesh called the grotesques. Of course, their heavy units, the giant hulks and armored infantry tanks. The elite of the cyborg society was the warlord, able to oppress and control their lesser cybernetic allies. But the strongest of the cyborg menace were the mountainous siege mechs, ginormous, heavily armed, nearly indestructible forces of sheer power and strength. A single siege mech could destroy an entire city in less than a day, and only the smartest and the most strategic Helldiver squads were capable of bringing them down. At the same time, Super Earth High Command came into contact with an alien species from the southern sectors of the galaxy. These strange cephalopodic creatures called themselves the Squith, or the Illuminate to us humans, with highly advanced technology and psionic abilities. They seemed peaceful beings, reaching out with a peaceful gesture and an offer to build a prosperous galaxy alongside the Federation. At first, it seemed harmless enough, until the discovery of massive weapons called obliterator bombs with the ability to destroy entire planets was found in Illuminate-controlled sectors, hidden away from sight in silos deep underground. Super Earth High Command was livid. The Illuminate's guise as a peaceful and friendly state had shattered, revealing their true intentions as a terroristic socialist cult. Super Earth immediately cut off all friendly contact with the Squids, declaring them as an enemy of Super Earth. Martial law was declared, and deployments of military platoons were stationed at Illuminate border planets, preemptively stopping the Squids from pushing further towards Super Earth. The Illuminate used ion technology to power their society, creating great devices and creatures. The weakest of these were the Observers and Watchers, small drones used to investigate possible threats and report them to greater Squid officers. Another of their drones, the tall, shielded Tripod, was a far greater enemy, along with the brawling Hunters, staff-wielding Apprentices, ghostly outcasts, and the upgraded version of the tripod, the Strider. Their heavy unit was called the Obelisk, a dome-like device generating a powerful shield to provide cover for Illuminate forces. The elite of the Squith were the Illusionists, masters over their underlings and able to distort reality itself with their mind-bending abilities. Then there were the High Council members, extremely powerful masters of the Illuminate Cult, able to control legions of squids, and with great political and metaphysical power, the council members were a powerful enemy to the Helldivers. But perhaps the greatest threat of all the Squith were the Illuminate Great Eyes, giant artificial intelligence-powered machines used to monitor Illuminate society and correct the thoughts of their citizens. The Ministry of Science has theorized that the Great Eyes were the ones holding the keys of the Illuminate's weapons of mass destruction. Tensions across the galaxy were seething, but no fighting had actually ensued, until the incident at Super Earth District 48. One normal day, a cyborg terrorist detonated a large explosive device in District 48, killing several civilians and branding themselves as traitors to the Federation. Super Earth's leaders made a unanimous agreement. The constant political strain had finally cracked between us and our enemies, and enough was enough. So in 2044, Super Earth simultaneously declared war on the Cyborgs, Illuminate, and the Terminids, setting the stage for the beginning of the First Galactic War. The Ministry of Defense realized their military was in no shape to fight against these new foes. The soldiers of the Federation, the Super Earth Legion, just weren't cutting it. With these new foes on the rise and the threat against managed democracy higher than ever, the Helldiver Corp was founded. The Helldivers are the best of the best. Elite strike forces of Helldiver squadrons could clear out enemy planets in mere hours. No matter how low the odds of victory, no matter how bad the situation, the Helldivers could handle any fight coming their way. Equipped with the finest weaponry Super Earth had to offer, the Helldivers were prepared to eviscerate any and all threats to the Federation. Millions of citizens were recruited to fight for justice. The battle had begun. Across the 40-year struggle against Super Earth's foes, hundreds of operations occurred that could be marked as milestones of the battle. However, 7 major operations were conducted that were considered key points in the war's timeline. Not long into the war, the Terminid bugs began an attack on the planet of Liberty Peak, destroying several major cities and slaughtering millions of helpless citizens. Swarms of the disgusting hordes crawled over the planet, and all hope seemed lost. The Helldivers were outnumbered 1,000 to 1, but the brave men and women of the Federation's finest were able to hold off the alien invaders, using strategically placed hellbomb detonation and targeted strikes of key Terminid nesting grounds across the globe. It was a fight for the ages, and the Helldivers' sacrifice on that day is still celebrated every year by voters across the galaxy. The second major event was the conflict on planet Nublaria 1 of the Celeste sector, only several months into the war's timeline. This one might be familiar to citizens who've read the classic super comic series Tales of the Viper Commandos, in which legendary war hero Jackal 6 is depicted in his victorious stand against the bugs, in which he held off thousands of Terminids using only a machine gun, pocket knife, and orbital laser strikes. Once the bugs were defeated, Nublaria 1 became a memorial to the heroic sacrifices of that battle, and still stands today under the righteous justice of Super Earth. We move next to planet X-45, where a large weapons reserve of classified Super Earth technology was hidden, deep underground in facilities located across the planet. Somehow, the cyborgs discovered the base's whereabouts and began to mobilize to claim the weapons for their own. The Helldivers were able to hold the line, but the cyborgs launched several nuclear strikes across key sectors on the planet that left the secret bases as piles of irradiated ash, completely inaccessible to any life for decades to come. Several years later, Super-Earth forces began to mobilize onto the cyborg homeworld of Cyberstan, their main base of operations. The siege against the bots was bloody, brutal, and unrelenting. Hundreds of thousands of soldiers were slaughtered by the hateful fists of the cyborg beasts. The Helldivers fought with the blazing flames of democracy. And after days of non-stop combat, the flag of Super-Earth was raised over the sunrise of the cyborg separatists' defeat. The remaining cyborg survivors were taken in as prisoners and made to work in the Cyberstan mines by the Super-Earth Construction Company, forced to serve their once loving government as nothing more than mindless machines. And while the cyborg nation continued to fight back against the Helldivers on other planets for the remaining years of the war, their military power was greatly reduced, making the cyborg army a much smaller threat to the prosperity and peace of Super-Earth. Sometime after the liberation of Cyberstan, the Battle of Choepessa IV commenced against the Bugs in the Trigon sector. The Helldivers and the SEAF fought valiantly, but the hordes of Bugs were far too great to be stopped by frontline soldiers. The colonies were soon overtaken by the Swarm. The territory had already been lost, so all caution was abandoned. Super-Earth High Command then authorized the usage of so much orbital bombardment that the skies of Choepessa IV were darkened by smog for a full month. The planet's surface was decimated, leaving the once lush jungle an icy and desolate wasteland. The Terminid outbreak was quenched in the fires of liberty that day, despite the total ecocide of the planet's life. But the death of a couple plants is a small price to pay for liberty. Several decades after the Battle of Cyberstan, Super-Earth forces fought their way toward the Illuminate homeworld of Squi'bai Shrine. A vibrant ocean world with over 80% of the surface covered with water and teeming with life, the squids had made it their ceremonial home. After countless engagements with the squids over the years, the Helldivers had made their way to the heart of tyranny itself, navigating through the Illuminate's powerful planetary defense network. Despite the advanced technology and psychokinetic abilities, the squids were no match for the overwhelming firepower of the Helldivers. The blood of heroes stained the Illuminate Cult's dark, sacred halls as our brave soldiers took down each of the Illuminate's great eyes across the globe. As the last city fell, and the final great eye let out its last scream, the once beautiful planet of Squi'bai Shrine ignited into a ball of flames, lighting the skies with a burning glow as the planet began to explode with mountainous explosions, rocking the earth with shuddering booms. The obliterator bombs that the squids had kept secret from Super-Earth at our first encounter had been detonated, setting the world ablaze. Unfortunately, the remaining SEAF armies stationed at the planet were killed in the flames, cementing themselves as martyrs of the glorious victory. While it's unclear what exactly occurred to cause the explosives to go off, some dissidents claim that the Squiff had never owned weapons of mass destruction in the first place, that Super-Earth merely used that as an excuse to attack the Squiff to steal Illuminate technology, and that High Command themselves hit Squi'bai Shrine with nukes to ensure no life on the planet survived. Of course, this could not be true, because our leaders would never willingly hurt any of our own people, especially not the heroes like the soldiers who took down the last of the vile squids at the Battle of Squi'bai Shrine. The Ministry of Truth would like all viewers to know that cowardly Illuminate leaders detonated their own bombs on Squi'bai Shrine in a suicidal, terroristic last attempt to kill as many SEAF soldiers as possible and evade retribution. Following their defeat, the remaining Illuminate forces at surrounding planets were forced to sign a treaty with Super-Earth, in which the squids agreed to hand over their weapons and technology. The disheartened Illuminate gave their weapons without a fight before fleeing en masse to unknown worlds beyond our galaxy in the last of their starships. Super-Earth High Command believed it was to be the last humanity would see of the Squiff cult. How wrong we were. Once the bots and the squids were no longer a threat, the Helldivers could focus all of their power on the greatest threat of the galaxy, the Terminid Scourge. The small outbreaks at the beginning of the war had grown into dozens of sectors swarming with thousands of hive systems planet-wide, breeding and nesting and evolving to better kill and feed upon the unarmed civilians of our cities and towns. But with the full force of Super Earth's military focused solely on the extermination of their species, it was only a matter of time before the filthy bugs' defenses broke. The Helldivers were requisitioned with the best, most powerful equipment in the galaxy. Their super destroyer ships filled to the brim with explosives and anti-bug weaponry. The Helldivers launched into battle, taking out planet after planet, purging worlds of the insecticide scum and reclaiming our colonies under the flag of Super Earth. Before the bugs could blink, the full power of Super Earth's armada had reached the bugs' homeworld of Kepler Prime, the largest habitable planet in the galaxy, deep in the asteroid fields of the Kepler system. The bugs had their defenses too, bile-spitting creatures that could launch columns of acid into the atmosphere, taking out entire ships. The biggest of their monstrosities were there as well, the Hive Lords. The Hive Lords, as the highest form of life in the bug hierarchy, were the masters of the Horde, able to use their hive mind influence to move armies of bugs across space. But once the final Lord fell, the bugs had no leadership. Without their masters, the Terminids had no hope. Within hours, the Helldivers had conquered the planet of Kepler Prime. The galaxy had at last been cleansed of the Terminid scum. SEAF control forces rounded up the last of the bugs into giant shuttles to be transported to the newly built E710 farms to domesticate the bugs and harvest their oil necessary for our economy. A quarantine was then enacted on the now bugless planets due to deadly lingering spores, but colonies would be rebuilt in the decades to come, reclaiming the worlds we had once called ours. So at last, after 40 years of constant struggle, with civilian casualties ranging in the tens of billions, the heroes of Super Earth conquered our enemies, reclaiming the galaxy from the clutches of evil for the pursuit of prosperity and peace. The SEAF and the Helldivers had won the fight, bringing a new dawn to our democratic society. The celebrations lasted for weeks straight, every citizen shouting from their rooftops to proclaim their joy at the Federation's victory. Justice had at last been served. We had won the Galactic War. The cyborg bots subjugated and imprisoned on Cyberstan, the bugs in quarantined farms, and the squids fleeing the solar system in shambles. With victory in hand and nothing but peace and prosperity ahead of Super Earth's people, High Command saw it fit to disband the Helldiver Corp, letting the heroes who fought in the Galactic War serve as reminders as who we should strive to be as citizens of the Federation. And with that, we conclude the first part of the entirety of the history of Super Earth and the heroics of the brave Helldivers during the First Galactic War. I really hope you all enjoyed this latest video, and I'll try to get the second part up as soon as possible. But the fact that our enemies have been subdued didn't mean that our fight was anywhere near done. The Terminids had begun to evolve, the cyborgs had started to scheme, and the Illuminate were plotting their return, forging an army from across the stars. But when the chips are down, when the unrelenting claws of tyranny bear down upon you, and the sun is blotted out by wretchedness and evil, know this now. Wherever you are, whatever you've done, the Helldivers are there, above us all, protecting us from darkness. May liberty save us all, and may freedom guide your hand. Eclipsify out. Adios.